Not yet. There, now we are.
Can anybody hear me?
The absolute best way to start the show. Are we live?
Well, it is a fitting question for a zombie game.
Jeez, wow. All right, less than 30
It
seconds in, and we have our
started
first
great.
pun.
It is 2 a.m. Cut me some slack here.
I don't think that 2 a.m. mattered in the slightest about that comment. I think you would have said that 2 p.m. or anything else anyway.
Yeah, I would. Anyway, hello, people. Welcome to another live stream of Marvel Zombies, a Zombicide
Hello,
game.
everyone.
So, introduce yourselves. Michael, go.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Chanel. I'm one of the co-designers here for Marvel Zombies, a Zombicide game. And we'll turn it over then to Fabio for introductions.
Hey guys, my name is Fabio Curry. I'm one of the co-designers of Marvel Zombies, a Zombicide game as well. And I'm very eager to be here today to show you guys a lot of the cool new stuff that's to come.
And I'm Thiago Aranha. I'm lead producer for this game. And well, we have taken over the asylum for this live stream. So I don't know how well this is going to flow, and I doubt it will be very smooth, but I guess it might
Listen,
be
I
entertaining.
have full confidence that everything will turn out okay, probably. I'm a firm 80%, okay? But in the words of Helena, we need to give everyone in the audience a few minutes to actually settle in and get things started. So I guess we need to find some type of little topic here to go over just for the beginning.
Oh, a quick note on that for those of you that are Cool Mini or not regulars. Helena's not here today, but she does have her eyes and ears on everything. So
she's here in spirit.
She's here in spirit, yeah.
She's always watching.
The red eye of marketing.
Okay, so Happy New Year, everybody. I've been hearing some good anticipation for Marvel Zombies with all the sneak peeks and designer diaries. By the way, thank you very much, design team, for those. Kind of exploring all the different facets of what we have revealed so far.
And those aren't even the only ones. We have a few more that are logged into the queue that will be going out over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, we do have some more things to showcase even before this whole thing starts. So yeah, keep an eye on our Facebook page for those articles.
Okay, let's say to start this off, since we do need to wait just a little bit longer for people to come in before we start, like, you know, the extreme cool stuff. Let's do some completely speculative, going to generate a bunch of, you know, ooh, what does that mean comments here, and everyone, let's discuss our favorite Marvel superhero, with the annotation and guarantee that there is no guarantee that just because we like them, they're going to actually appear anywhere in the game.
Well,
Okay.
I'll start because my one is obvious because it's right here on my name. It's Spider-Man. So I never had a choice. It's the one that people would just give me comic books of him when I was a kid, just because my name is Spider, and I just grew to love him.
So, you know, that actually seems like a bit of a too of an easy answer there. So I'm going to double down on this and say, what is your favorite Spider-Man story arc or Spider-Man version?
I really like the whole Black Suit saga comics. I'm talking about comics, not films. I think that was a really interesting twist. Like, after reading a bunch of classic Spider-Man, to have that take on him.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I do feel that we could almost have a whole discussion on just like Spider-Man and his rogues gallery. But, you know, that's a topic for another time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Fabio.
What is a superhero, right? It really depends on the writer. So
aren't we all superheroes in a way?
But in a much more correct way.
But I don't know. I really like, when I was a kid, I really enjoyed Spider-Man, and I still do. It's not that I don't anymore, but I'd go with Venom. Once again, just more comic book stuff, and also the PS1 video game Venom. I think that's the best Venom of all of them, right? And I remember, like, even the internet was pretty new at the time. So I remember some quotes like him asking Spider-Man, "Are we gonna surf the web?" And I really like puns, so I think that in a Spider-Man game, surfing the web is really a really smart pun. So kudos to the development team of the PS1 Spider-Man game.
I actually have to agree with the Simon in the chat there. That's a very oddly specific version and like, call of that. Because when you said like old Venom game, my mind immediately went to Maximum Carnage back on the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, especially the Genesis version with its like cool red cartridge and everything. I think that was actually probably about the time that I wasn't super into comics when I was younger, but I do remember the Maximum Carnage story arc. And then I remember like having the red cartridge for the Genesis game because that was really cool and stood out. And also it had that really cool soundtrack done by a band I can't remember, but they did the entire custom soundtrack to that game. And it was pixelated just rock.
Right, because I think that hits our rambling quota for the day.
Yeah, and my
Shall we
favorite
go-
will remain a secret.
That's what I
sorry,
thought. It's a
I thought you were
mystery.
going into that already.
No, I didn't list anyone. But actually, so my favorite, I get asked this quite a bit, especially over the last few months, and I didn't have a pure answer for it. But thinking back on it, I actually have to say it's probably Blade. And that's no in small part due to just Wesley Snipes dominating that role in the movies. But so my early introduction to comic books, aside from just like comic books, was later I got into the Versus System card game, and that's actually where I learned a lot of my backstory because they released set after set after set of all these obscure heroes that you just never know who they are. And then they did the set with the Midnight Suns, the Edgelords Extreme, and at the time, of course, how can you not get into that? Moon Knight, Morbius, Blade, and just all of those guys, Punisher, Daredevil. Like that's my cool little like team there because I like those guys a lot.
So dark. Yeah.
So dark, so edgy. Whoa.
Okay, so shall we begin?
I guess people are
Yeah.
tired of hearing us ramble, so we can get into showing some cool stuff here.
Yeah, and I think so we can talk about new stuff. We have to show some new stuff. So I believe we have a little trailer ready to go, and then we can
Let's go ahead and open this up with a
talk
bang here.
afterwards. Whew.
And there's our big reveal, ladies and gentlemen, for all those who have been asking for a hero mode.
It exists. First off, I just want to just give big kudos to Andrea Bianchini, who did the trailer for us. Like, he did an amazing work on this video with all the animation. It just gets me so pumped to see the game really come to life like that.
I mean, I got to be honest in that as well. I love most of our trailers. I think they're advancing all the time, but that one I've literally watched just like time and time again because it gets you pumped. You get those chills seeing it and everything.
Yeah.
The guitar riff. Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, so before we dive into the whole hero mode, one important piece of information that I don't know if people's synapses were still working at the very end of the video there, but there is an announcement there about the start date for the Kickstarter, which is January 18, 3 p.m. EST. It's coming. It's coming soon. I should be sleeping right now to get ready for that. But yeah.
How can you sleep at a time like this? There's no sleeping for the next, 2 to 5 weeks.
Yeah, so less than 2 weeks to go. A Tuesday, not too far removed from right now, it will launch. And
it was a normal Tuesday until it wasn't.
For me, it was Tuesday.
That's a slightly obscure crossover that will not happen, but I wish now.
Okay, so guys, X-Men hero mode. What's that?
Okay. So basically, with the X-Men box, we're introducing the hero mode where you play as not zombie heroes, right? And there's a little switcheroo as superheroes, right? Just the normal ones. It's because now, since we're in Marvel Zombies, a Zombicide game, I always have to, in my head at least, clarify for myself. But you're completely correct. The superheroes. And now the role of the abominations or the antagonists, right, are the zombie heroes. So that really works out pretty well. And more than that, it's not just switching the miniatures around. The hero mode really does bring exclusive gameplay, right, such as powering up and heroic traits. But we'll get more into that later.
Okay, before we dive further into that, I'd just like to point out that cover art by Marco Cecchetto, again, just kicking ass with the artwork. Like, that was so exciting to work with him and propose little things. Like, I specifically asked, I need to see Cyclops' head being lobbed into the air. Zombie Cyclops' head there, and he delivered. I said it before, I'll say it again. Marco Cecchetto, so hot right now.
So hot. For me, my favorite thing about this cover is we got our homeboy Magneto right there in the center, and then just Rogue and Magneto are my two favorite pieces on that cover. But every time you look at there, you're going to see some other cool little detail that just jumps out.
Yeah,
and also not even talking about the comparison between this cover and the other one and how they parallel.
Yeah, because to explain, this one has Wolverine in the forefront going one side, and if you put the other one next to it, it is zombie Captain America going the other way. So they kind of work together as a dual cover. And also, this cover kind of addresses one point that people have been talking about, like what's a hero, what's a villain in this setting, because it's really not that. It's who's alive and who's not. So if Magneto's alive and Wolverine's alive, they are going to band together and try to stay that way.
So I guess at this point we can go into a little bit more about the actual systems and everything. And just a preface there to say is that basically we have the power system here for when you're playing as superheroes, and we have your hunger system for when you're playing as the zombie heroes. These are sister systems that we developed in tandem here because, this has been waiting for a while for the reveal, but this has been since the initial conception of the game, playing as both, because we know that people want to play as superheroes and rescue the day and do all that stuff. I personally, you give the option about playing as zombies and going and eating bystanders and everything, or going and rescuing them. I think that the people know there's one clear answer there, but we allow everyone to have their fun here. So we have catered to both sides here. You have your zombie mode for when you want to rampage through New York and devour bystanders and take down superheroes. And then if you want to, save the day, at least best you can in the zombie apocalypse, then you have hero mode, which again features our X-Men, and we'll get into the specifics here as this presentation goes on.
But one other I would like to clarify that X-Men Resistance is a full core box by itself. Like it is a fully independent core box. So we have the Marvel Zombies core box, and we have the X-Men Resistance core box, which like has the whole game playable in hero mode, while the other one has the whole game playable in zombie mode. So yeah, they can be used independently, but they also can be mixed, and we're going to address that as well.
Yes, and actually, I think that's something just we can actually get early before we get into like the super hype reveals, is how those two boxes actually do mix. Is that each of the boxes does contain the components for the relevant heroes to play them in the reverse mode. So, for example, in the Undead Avengers box, you have all your zombie heroes as player cards. That box also comes with them as their spawn cards for when they're playing as the zombie AI. If you're playing in hero mode from the X-Men Resistance box, likewise with all the components there.
Yeah. So to clarify, so in this box you will play Wolverine as your player character, as a survivor, but you also have the cards to play him as an abomination in zombie mode in the other box. So every character has kind of a dual use in that way.
Yep. So you can team that up as you see fit.
Yeah, and of course, and all bystanders can be used can be just bundled together from both boxes.
Yes, and the bystanders do have like their different versions as well, based on which mode you are currently playing as, whether you're going to save them or devour them.
Okay, so actually, let's look at what else we have in terms of slides, and to change a bit the background here. Ooh, okay, that's that is actually, I don't know. Well, I do know why. Like, I think this is one of the most exciting things for me in this box was working on the tiles, because it was a very different thing for us. So all the tiles in this box recreate the X-Mansion in loving detail. Again, Henning Ludvigsen did an amazing job in bringing all those little details to life. And so these tiles, actually, so 9 double-sided tiles, and here you see the whole setup of the ground floor. These are 9 tiles, not one big tile. So this is a huge gameplay area where you have the front yard with the garage and the greenhouse, the driveway, and you go into the main hall with a staircase and dining hall and Xavier's office and the patio and library, all the things. And this is all based on, of course, we took a bunch of guides for the X-Mansion and studied what we could use, what wouldn't fit, what you wanted to show, and how it would work as a board game. And just trying to be as faithful as possible while creating a nice play area.
We did a number of researches when we were designing this full map board and everything, and the main one was actually from old X-Men annuals, where sometimes in the back you would have like, "Hey kids, check out the layout of the X-Mansion." And granted, that has changed drastically over the decades of X-Men, but this is kind of an homage to a lot of those, and you'll see a lot of hidden Easter eggs in here, just like we did with the New York tiles for the Undead Avengers core box. But as Aranya said here, this is the full 9 tile layout here. So this is, again, not a single tile. This is your full big map, and this is not just the only this is not the only part just to showcase for this, because as you know, all of our tiles are double-sided.
Yeah. So if you climb the staircase, you get to the dorms upstairs. So this is 3 tiles, which is the back of the front lawn. So you can actually like have a mission that takes place in both the top floor and the ground floor at the same time, without the front lawn. And here you have the Xavier's luxuriously big room in the middle, and then all the student dorms to either side, the male dorms and the female dorms on each side. I think this was the most fun, is deciding which dorm belongs to which X-Men, and adding little Easter eggs to kind of hint at who lives there or died there. I don't know.
And talking of Easter eggs, there is a gameplay Easter egg that has been shown already in the previous slide and this one. And I'll just say it, right? I'll just say it. There's an elevator slot, right? As you can see on the center topmost tile.
Yeah, you have the shaft there. So you have the staircase, but you also have an elevator, which takes you upstairs. So if you could go there, yeah. And yeah, Professor X has his own entrance, and then you can also come in from the main hall.
Xavier's private elevator into his room that is by itself the size of an entire wing of dormitories, because he really, really needed that.
Yeah, and of course the elevator is the only way to actually also go way down into the underground facilities, which
maybe the coolest tiles we've ever made ever, right?
Yeah, which has a completely different feel to it, because this is the X-Men true headquarters, and which you have Cerebro chamber, the danger room, the hangar with the X-Jet, war room, science labs, med bay, all that cool stuff.
Yep, so you'll have scenarios that are taking place entirely on the ground floor. You'll have some that are taking you upstairs, some that are taking you to the sublevels here. And just going back to elevators, because that's kind of a trope I really like in some zombie games and movies. If you open an elevator, it might have been empty before, but you never know what got in there since the last time you opened it, right?
They're like a box of chocolates.
Yeah. It's a Zombicide game, right, guys? So they're supposed to be zombies.
But I mean, really, we can gush on and on about the tiles like nonstop, because again, Henning did every time he does it, it's a knockout thing. Just the way he does this and everything. But really, just the recreation of the X Mansion here. This was probably one of my most exciting things that we have done here. I'll agree with Aranya on this. That putting these things together like this, and just recreating and having to research all of this stuff, and actually seeing it come alive at the end. That's probably one of my favorite parts about the project so far.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. It's great reading like wikis and fandoms and calling it work research, right?
And yes, there was I don't know if people are aware of this, but Marvel has a pretty long history. Mainly like a couple decades, guys. Comic books are a thing. So it's not only a matter of just finding an accurate representation of some of this stuff, but also what representation we want to use. And that doesn't apply just to the tiles, or even the heroes for that matter, but every facet of this game, including the next thing that we can begin looking at.
Superheroes.
So as we talked about before with the superheroes, there's so many versions of ones to pick from. And as we said before, we're basing most of this on the Marvel Zombies comic run from 15 years ago and all of the volumes that have come out since then. But we're not limited to just doing that. So you will see iconic stuff here for the various superheroes or villains, whatever you want to call them. Again, when you're versus a bunch of zombies, those lines really go away. You have to in order to survive. But we've made sure to accurately represent all of the abilities to various heroes. Like looking at the ones we have here, Magneto. He can crush zombies. He can do magnetic pulls. He can use magnetic flight to move his teammates around. Rogue, go figure, is super strong, but also has her absorption capabilities. Mystique can blend in with people, and actually, infiltrate her way through the map. That was one of the reasons why we went to giving every single hero their own unique powers that are, printed on their dashboards and everything, is because we really wanted to capture the flavor of all of these characters. Because you have decades of iconic, when you see Magneto, if you know anything about comics, you have an idea in your head already about what he's going to do and how cool it's going to be when you play him. And capturing that was one of the most important aspects for us for this project.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I believe that regardless of where you put Magneto, he's still Magneto, right? Just as Michael said. So if trying to distill the essence of these guys into a character sheet was really one of our main focuses, so that they all feel unique.
Can you see the next slide of superheroes? Yeah, I love that storm.
The Storm I like a lot. I have to say that the Colossus is of these three is going to be my favorite. No small part in Colossus just because of also the recent Deadpool movies. Like I will say, like that drove my fandom of him up a bit because I just thought he was really fun in addition to those.
Oh, actually, a part of why I love Storm, I do have her miniature here, which is, I think, one of my favorites, with the
with the
storm
base.
cloud at the base. Like, it's just so elegant and majestic as Aurora should be.
So that's something worth mentioning here as well for anyone who was unaware is that like we're really going above and beyond this time with the basing for the miniatures, and most of it when you see the artwork, it's going to be representative of what you're going to see on that base. Like Ryan, I don't know if there's anything else you want to spoil there or show.
Let's see what I have here. I do have, yeah, Magneto also has quite a busy base with all the missiles he's levitating around.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I like it how they put the levitating missile like on the plastic of the cape. So it really does give that impression of levitation, right? It's not just stuff sticking out.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the fact that you get to see like the motion of all these miniatures, like the Colossus one, he is bursting through a wall there, and you just see that. With Rogue here, she's winding up for her just knockout punch right there, and yeah, it's just the fact that these feel like characters. This feels like taken out of a still of a comic book.
Yeah, try to give her as much like flight kind of impression as possible. Make her very dynamic, jumping up. Here we have Wolverine's nemesis. Sorry, this is a bit delicate. Sabretooth, who, yeah.
I have to say, by the way, just a feral zombified Sabretooth is not something you really want to come across.
Yeah, but I think, but as far as the zombie hero, I think the most fun for me was Cyclops. And it's something we talked specific. I talked to Marco Keketa, like, we have to have him like holding his head up and just firing his optic blast from his hand that he's holding in his head.
So not to give any spoilers of future past, but Cyclops does play a fairly significant part in an upcoming gameplay video we have as he just terrorizes the board. Which I also think I go into a bit of a tirade during that playthrough talking about how I think that Scott Summers is kind of a dork. But yeah, okay, that's me.
Okay, so let's talk about a bit about mechanics. Power. Let's discuss a bit about how that works.
All right, so Fabio, do you want to take this or should I handle this one?
I'll start and you'll correct me. Just joking, but well, the power system is, I don't want to say completely opposite to the hunger system, but in a way.
It's diagonal.
It's diagonal, exactly.
These are built as a sister system, sibling system, whatever you want to call them.
So it's really easy to onboard into the power system if you know the hunger system and vice versa. But whereas the hunger is turning the zombie heroes ravenous, right? And you kind of need to keep your hunger in check. The power system uses power more as of a positive resource, right? So you want to sometimes stop and power up to be able to do more things. And they allow you to improve the way you roll your dice. I don't know if we go into specifics, but they also allow you to use to find power traits and use them. So we'll see situations where the power is useful, that are different situations than where the hunger is useful. So that changes the core gameplay loop so you can have different experiences. Once again, it's not just a palette swap. It really does impact gameplay. On the other note as well, while we're still on that, since the hunger forces the zombie heroes to become ravenous and expose themselves to danger, you'll notice that most zombie heroes have more health than, or all of them, right? It's supposed to be 5 for the zombie heroes, and regular superheroes have 3 health because they can actually place themselves in safer positions and make more guaranteed calls.
Yeah, more informed decisions than zombies. That they need to do whatever they have to do to stay undead.
So
And also, yeah, and if you look at the comics, like the zombie heroes, they are more resilient because that's their nature. They've already died once. It's not such a shocker for them, so they can stand a lot of more damage than normal superheroes, living superheroes.
to give the quick 1 minute elevator pitch between those two systems, just to recap for those. So you have the hunger system, which basically states that as the game goes on, it's a track that's going to go up between 0 to 4. The higher it goes, the more dice you get to roll for all your attacks. But if you go too long without eating a bystander, you might become ravenous if it caps out. At which point you're going to lose control of a lot of your character's functions. You're going to lose the ability to use your special powers or abilities. You're just going to need to move toward the nearest enemy and devour them. That is your priority. So it becomes a very risk versus reward system where you're always wanting to get always slightly just before you're ravenous to get your highest potential attacks, but you never want to go fully ravenous because you lose control. And then you're forced into a bad situation. Conversely, you have the power system, which again is a track that goes 1 through 4, but that's much more of a resource management style system where you're going to be using actions like power up to gain power, and you're going to expend that power to gain bonuses such as activating your abilities or using bonus attack dice. So you have your baseline attack, like Wolverine has his adamantium claws. It's 3 dice hits on a 4+. If you have 4 power, you can spend all 4 of that power and roll an upwards of 7 dice on a single attack. But then your power is going to go into the 0, so you're going to have to either wait for it to charge back up or spend some power up actions. And you're going to need to do things like that to take down those zombie heroes that are coming at you, because sometimes, like in the case of the Juggernaut, they can have a toughness of upwards of, actually in Juggernaut's case, upwards of 6 that needs to be taken down. Now, granted, Juggernaut's a little bit of a special case right there, but they're all really tough to take down. So that's basically what I would say the biggest, for me, the comparison between those, if we just want to talk raw mechanics, is that hunger is much more of a kind of a push your luck style reward system. And then power is going to be your resource management. Okay, do I do this for now or do I save it for later? Do I build up for a powerful attack?
Yeah, and then also, so the superheroes, they have access to heroic traits, which are cards that you can spend actions to acquire, that are single-use abilities, which are different from the zombie traits from the other box. So that also complements how the superheroes work compared to the zombie heroes. Right?
Mm-hmm. In many of the systems between these two, you're going to see parallels. Like I said, they're sister systems. If you know how to play one system, you're going to be able to jump into the other just fine and play it. So you're going to see a lot of parallels there. But not everything is just going to be a carbon copy over, for how things work. Because again, these are different systems; they function differently. And then we have a wealth of unique heroes here. One element that I think is really fun to talk about is the bystanders. In zombie mode, you're trying to hunt them down and eat them while they're trying to escape the map. In hero mode, you're trying to rescue them. And they are trying to basically get to you to get rescued while avoiding the zombies that are on the map trying to eat them. And that's a bit of an issue because, yes, the enemies on the map will be moving toward these bystanders and trying to devour them. If they end up getting devoured, it's going to be a big blow for the entire team. As you're superheroes, your job is to save people. If you don't do that, then unfortunately there's going to be some negatives that happen. In this case here, you're going to lose some heroic traits, you're going to lose some power, and it's going to be a bad time for everyone on the team. But if you go and rescue these guys, aside from getting their unique bystander card, which is going to give you a special ability for the rest of the game, you're also going to fill your power to maximum. That's your main reward for getting these guys. And there's another mechanic in there, which we'll say it's heroically sacrificing your guy. As a superhero, if you would take a wound and you have a bystander, that bystander, whether it's I guess Senator Kelly there or Mariko. I'm sorry.
Mariko.
Right. If you're carrying them and you take a wound, they can heroically jump in the way and sacrifice themselves to take that wound instead of the hero. Don't recommend doing that too often because you don't want to lose these guys, but it is an option. And the last one there, by the way, for any of the fans out there, that is William Stryker.
Yeah,
Completing the little
Reverend
William Stryker. So again,
I do love how the dynamics change a lot just by the nature of the bystanders and how they react to the player characters and the hordes that are coming. Like it's very much the opposite of what happens in zombie mode, and that changes a lot of how the flow of the game in terms of what you do when a bystander shows up. Because once a bystander shows up, he's a target, and you don't want them to be devoured because you're a superhero, and also because if they get devoured, everybody gets really bummed out, and everybody loses power. Everybody loses a heroic trait. Like it's a very somber moment for the superheroes.
Just for fairness sake, to counterpoint that, if you are playing maybe a little bit of a morally gray character, maybe a Magneto or a Mystique or something, and okay, so maybe a Senator Kelly spawns, and you're like, you know what, the hordes are going to be attracted to him. Maybe we let them go after him just for a little bit. We'll save him later while we get to an objective. I'm just saying that there are some gameplay options there about potentially leaving a target out there. But of course, if you're playing a heroic superhero like Colossus or Wolverine, you would never let that happen. So, that gives you some role-playing opportunities there too, if you would like.
Yeah, I do
It
have
really depends how you see yourself, right? Do you see yourself as a superhero or just as a super person?
It is kind of a tough choice for the X-Men to go rescuing Senator Kelly, and not everybody who you rescue maybe deserves rescuing, but you're a superhero. You look beyond that. So here's Reverend Stryker there. We do have another very friendly guy to the X-Men. This is Bolivar Trask.
So that was a fun thing when we were researching all the bystanders specifically, is because okay, superheroes, you have a general idea of what they're gonna do in the game. Okay, you tell me make a rogue character. Okay, you kind of go okay, she does absorption, she has Captain Marvel's old powers and everything. You already have those ideas that form in your head. But for some of these bystanders, we wanted to give all of their abilities something that was representative of their characters. What does this make sense for the character to have? And that included a lot of researching for, in all honesty, some of these little kind of obscure characters that you're going to see. And of course, we're not going to spoil everything for the X-Men box and the Avengers box. But yeah, that was almost more fun than researching the heroes. Was sometimes looking at these bystanders and going okay, well, what does this person contribute in the comic? Which version of this are we doing? Because that's a thing in the comics as well, especially the X-Men ones. Finding guys who have not been a superhero or have some form of superpowers at some point gets a bit rare. Even in the roster that we have, you can cite a couple instances where Bolivar Trask or Senator Kelly at some points in the past have basically gotten the equivalent of superpowers, and now they're just okay, congrats, now they can defend themselves.
Also, here's Moira McTaggart.
Oh, so the ultimate example of that, where this is a character that basically didn't have any meaningful powers at all until one story arc where she became the center of the universe.
It happens. It happens.
It's just it's a Tuesday for X-Men.
Okay, I think okay, I think that's enough bystanders. Let's leave some surprises for the campaign.
Something that we've been popping in and out and talking about is also heroic traits, and I don't think we've explained them, but they are very similar to hunger traits in the sense that they are traits that you can acquire and expend during the game to give you advantages, and using those smartly can give you great advantages during the game.
And usually they work closely with power, because some of their aspects, okay, you have a trait, but if you can spend power with that trait, you can trigger an extra effect by spending the power. So it all kind of ties together.
Yeah, as I said, it's very important to manage your that's going to be the single most important thing you do when you're playing as hero mode, is you're going to be managing your power, saving up for a big attack, maybe not using all of it because you want to save for using a cool heroic trait. Some of the traits scale off the amount of power you use, so again, it's a resource management.
Did we talk about the zombie heroes? We haven't even showed those artworks, right? The zombie heroes.
Yes, the zombie heroes, the enemies for the X-Men Resistance box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so we have Psylocke and Sabretooth and Juggernaut, who is pretty much unstoppable.
So I'll actually give a little bit of some spoilers here.
Just a pause. Just look at that. Just look at that. That is evil.
Listen, it's a zombified Dark Phoenix, and she even claimed, like in the comics, she was like she couldn't be turned except that she willed it. So she willingly became, infected by the hunger virus. She said that she was so immensely powerful that she didn't have to if she didn't want to. Granted, I don't necessarily believe that given the the raw power of that virus in the comics, but you know, it's cool. And yes, look at her. She's immolating a bunch of skeletons. They were obviously skeletons beforehand. She didn't just kill a bunch of normal people.
Yeah, she just invaded a Halloween shop. Yeah, that's what's happening there.
Take that, Spirit Halloween.
And I also love Marco's interpretation of the zombie Iceman, because like it's all ice. So how do you represent the whole zombie facet of it? So he just turns everything into death, and it's just awesome.
So just to give some like cool gameplay stuff about these, just to talk about just some of the diversity in making these these guys actually play differently on the tabletop, because these function as old school Zombicide abominations. So they usually have one ability, and so we had to encompass the entire personality of them in that one ability to make it feel like this is what that zombie hero is. So like for example, Dark Phoenix, she's got a fairly high toughness to take down, but she also just deals passive damage to any enemy that's around her. So if you attack her and don't take her down, just for being nearby, you're going to start taking damage from her immolate. Cyclops there, he has a ranged attack, go figure, that deals some sweeping, just like arc damage. It's fairly annoying. Iceman there, meanwhile, is actually going to slow down the reflexes of heroes that are around him. So him being on the board, he is a threat in himself. He's going to be moving and trying to attack you, but he's going to create this aura of just cold around him that's going to give you debuffs. So that's the thing. Like, you can't just, look, this guy's a threat, but he's not near me, so I don't have to deal with him. These guys are going to cause negatives just for being on the board. I'm not even going to go back to the previous slide to talk about Psylocke, because she's just devastating, but I've given them spoilers here as it is. I usually am against spoilers, and here I am just giving them out like candy.
All right, and then I think the final is X-Men box required for hero mode. Yes.
Yes. Basically just like yes. In order to play in hero mode, you're going to require the heroic traits, the legions of zombies that come in the box. So if you play in hero mode, you are going to need the X-Men Resistance core box. To play in zombie mode, you will need the Undead Avengers core box. But again, as Aranya said earlier, each of those boxes contains the components for the heroes to play them in the reverse mode, specifically the heroes.
And speaking of the zombie hordes, I think that's the last slide we can explore here. And so here we have basically our runner, brute, and walker. And this is a kind of a point of pride, because this is when I'm going to pat myself on the back, because when we were discussing, okay, who could fill these roles, in this whole X-Men universe, and then I was saying, okay, how could we do like the horde of walkers? What kinds of characters we could use to populate that? We could do like ninjas or whatever. Like, what can we do there? And then it dawned on me: there's only one guy we need for a zombie horde. It's Madrox, is the multiple man. So every single walker in the box is multiple man. It's a one-man army. So we do have like him in multiple poses to give variety, but it's all Madrox all the time. And I don't know why that just makes me so happy, because it's the best mix of silly and awesome. Like just having
smart, it's flavorful. It's
just having 35 Madroxes roaming around the board. It just makes me happy.
When we were having the initial conversations about this and everything, again, props out here to Aranya, because I will give credit where it's due. He did suggest the idea of a lot of these specific X-Men, not characters, but like goon types, basically to translate over into the zombie versions. And yeah, it was it was neat, like, you know, seeing those ideas come up and everything, especially like the multiple man one. Like that's just it's that kind of like cute, charming to me that like, yeah, okay, if you get it, you get it. I'm sure a lot of people are gonna open the box and go like, well, why are this is all this the same guy? That's lazy. But you know, that's the same crowd that was like thinking that we invented Marvel Zombies, you know, with
Yeah.
our 15-year-old time machine.
And just to complete, if you can go back to that zombies slide, the other two. So we have the brute is a reaver. So we have different types of reavers, and they are literal tanks in this case, which makes sense. And the runners are hellfire soldiers. Just obstinate assassins chasing you and trying to gobble you up. And yeah, it was fun. Besides, I think go a little bit more in depth into some of the extra stuff that these guys do, because I think that's also very, very exciting, I think.
See, I was worried about like getting into that because thought I was going to get yelled at for giving too many spoilers. But
Come on.
I guess we're there. So, okay, we do have a couple extra like spawn cards in the decks that give these guys some special abilities, and that's also true in zombie mode. If you guys watch the gameplay, you guys could see like the shield specialist had like their airdrop ability. Well, that's definitely true here with these guys as well. So, like the Reavers there have an overdrive effect where they just get this like turbocharged, just kind of rush that all of the ones in play activate and just ram into heroes and can potentially siphon off all your powers. They just slam into them. But the funnest one is probably the multiple man one, because there's a card called Multiple Man Multiply.
He had to multiply. That's his thing, right?
Yeah, so that one, instead of like getting an extra activation or something like that, it instead just adds additional multiple men to every space that has a multiple man on the board as they multiply.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just giddy.
Cool.
So just to go, was that the last slide we had? Was that really the end?
I think that's the last slide we have, I do believe.
But I must say something. I have been reading a little bit of the chat, and I've been seeing some joking around about opening all the doors and so on. And there's something we kind of missed so far. So if you don't want to open all the doors per se, the zombies can open some of them for you with our new feature, windows. So
the mansion has windows.
The next mansion we have windows, and the zombies can open those.
So you're probably not going to be able to see them on the tile on the screen because they are fairly small, but basically the front section and the back pool area of the mansion, you'll see little slots of basically our windows, and they function like doors that zombies can break through. So you can create some heroic escape moments as you're just bursting through a window. But on that same note, you can have zombies then just bursting through those windows as well, and creating entry points for going after targets that you might not have expected them to previously.
Right, and another thing, I think one of the last things we might be able to discuss here is what you may find lying around the grounds of the X Mansion to use as a potential weapon.
Okay, so in the Undead Avengers playthrough, people saw that you had the giant Fallen Avengers A sign that you were able to like pick up and hurl at the hordes of zombies. In X Mansion, you also have an item that's similar to that as well, which is a giant severed sentinel hand, which, depending on the scenario, can come in a powered and non-powered version. So basically, you can use it to get off one final sentinel laser blast off, or you can just like pick it up and start hurling it around. So you get those cool like heroic moments where you can just like, okay, you've got like Colossus picking up the giant like severed hand and just like letting it charge up before it just blasts through and hopefully disintegrates a zombie, like a zombie saber tooth or something, and then he just hurls it at the multiple men that are running at him. That's the thing I love about this game, is that this creates moments that really feel like you're just describing panels in a comic book.
Yeah, it's funny because I was just watching the gameplay video that Quackalope just published, and you do have those moments where you just like you can see the storyline unfolding there, like. Spider-Man coming to the rescue as Aunt May is running away from zombie Iron Man, and he's being all cocky and causing all kind of mayhem, and then the Hulk comes charging and throws the Avenger sign. You see those things coming to life. So I think that's most of it that we can discuss. I think. Any questions we might want to tackle at this point? Can I go to sleep? I don't know. What's up?
We have a little bit of time left to take up, and anything to keep you from sleeping, I would be more than happy to do. So we can
Fair
take a
enough.
couple questions from the chat. I see that we do have a few people that have been asking when the Kickstarter launch date is, and we did reveal that earlier. So, like Aranya, you can go ahead and just re-throw that back out into the ether.
The Kickstarter launches in January 18 at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or whatever's written down there.
And then they change it, right? I'm just joking.
Yeah, and I don't know what to expect.
I see Ivan Areola, I'm sorry for the pronunciation. He's asking, are there going to be more expansions? Well, yes, I guess, right? I hope so. But we won't get into which ones right now, but that is a good question. So, yes.
I don't think anyone can get in trouble for that type of spoiler. Like, are we going to have more content during the Kickstarter?
Yeah, this is not all there is. Is there a limited Galactus? Well, limited as far as it is exclusive to the Kickstarter, but we are not doing the same crazy thing we did initially with the Cthulhu That May Die giant Cthulhu of limiting quantities, because we thought there wouldn't be that much interest, so we were kind of doing a different manufacturing process. No, there will be Galactus as people want it.
Now
If you want to get
right?
if you want to get a whole just like a lawn full of Galacti, like just decorating your entranceways, please by all means purchase like 10.
It was very freaky because I saw a picture from the factory when they were working on the prototypes. It was just a table full of Galacti, and this was weird.
Like just the terracotta warriors just like stacked up there.
I was thinking about that.
Kind of.
Galacterracotta.
Mm-hmm. What does the Magic 8 Ball say about our survival in the next game? Oh, Board Game Co. Hey, hi. Chances are slim. I don't have the 8 Ball is resting, is preparing for the whole onslaught that's to come, so I can't really access it at this point. But from what I've seen of the game in play, survival is not high in the likelihood table.
Yeah, I guess it really depends on you guys, right?
I mean, I can't comment because I know the answer. It's exciting though.
Demonic Styles, I'm really glad that you guys are fans of the source material. Yeah, I'm glad as well. It's fun to work on something you love. It helps. Can tell that this was made with love for Marvel and should be really exciting for fans. Yeah, I think that shines through very obviously. Like we're just all excited to be doing this, and like we do a lot of research work, but it's fun that a lot of things just come naturally because like what this thing is supposed to do. That wouldn't it be fun if this aspect of this thing from this comic this thing that people expect to see, how this can inform the gameplay and the components and the art and everything.
On that same note there, I think that to me the most dynamic thing that shaped up from this project was actually the Bystanders. How they just really, as time went on, they fleshed more and more out into being such a key component of how the game actually plays from their initial version, where it's like, yeah, okay, they're going to be a cool like ability you can get, to actually changing to being a dynamic piece that moves around the board and has like repercussions for being saved or devoured and everything. That was probably my favorite just evolution through this project, seeing as how they shaped up.
Yeah, I think that's part of being a fan of the franchise and the source material, like you said, because as we played, we wanted them to be more active and more engaging, and we're like, oh, okay, it was really fun devouring Aunt May. Now let's make a feast. Let's make her even more devourable. Like, where's the salt? So, and I think that really worked out. So yeah.
Why is it so entertaining to devour Aunt May? I don't know what it is about that.
Because in the comics, it was really, really gruesome. In the gameplay, though, I remember that like Aunt May, we had to like nerf several times because eating her was just, she was really, really strong, and she kept getting nerfed over and over again. That was like the one bystander that like kept going through that process of like still too strong, still too strong. And frankly, I don't know what it is about our playtesters, but they really, really like eating Aunt May.
I think it's the marrow. It's more.
It's like when you dry age a steak. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Board game hype. I've never played Zombicide. Should I play the original Zombicide before playing this one?
You
Well,
should
you
always
should.
play and especially buy Zombicide.
Okay, without the mercenary aspect of it, sure. I love Zombicide. You should play Zombicide because it's a fun game, and because it's the one that's available right now. This game is not coming out for quite a while still. So, but of course, you don't need to learn Zombicide so that you can play Marvel Zombies. It is an entry level game. It's meant for everybody, Zombicide veterans and newbies alike.
Every Zombicide version offers something that you're going to want to take, including a setting. So obviously pick the one that works best for you. Which one you like. We have Black Plague for our fantasy setting. We have Invader for our futuristic setting. We have Undead or Alive for Western. There's a flavor out there for everyone. Depending on what you want to do, and each one brings its own new mechanics as well. So just explore that library out there and see which one jumps out at you.
Yeah, but I'd say that all Zombicides, one of the strongest points of Zombicide is the Christmas test, that I like to call it, that you can open a Zombicide box from your Christmas tree and immediately play, right? There's no secret to learning like advanced strategy or reading 300 pages of rules. No, it's quick. It's really quick to learn, and you can play it in the same day you buy it.
And it's the perfect end cap for any Christmas celebration to devour Aunt May. Yeah, it's the whole feast.
What is everyone's obsession here with it? I've literally logged this, and it just seems like everyone is like, that's the thing. We could have just said like, this is the Eat Aunt May game, and that's all we had to say. Sorry, here's another question here from Haddock. Are there different difficulties for each mission? And yes, just like in standard Zombicide, you will have each mission does give does have a difficulty rating on it, ranging from easy to hard. So you'll be able to say if you're playing with some new people or you don't want that much of a challenge, you can play an easy game, or you can go like, oh, this one's listed as hard, or some nightmare level above that if we end up making something like that. But that's another thing about Zombicide as well, is you can also, it's a big sandbox as well. You can customize it and create your own cool stuff here. Like I fully expect to see like some cool fan-made scenarios out there about, recreating events from the comic books that we don't, necessarily touch on, or just even having just cool ones in New York or the X Mansion. I mean, that gets back to the tiles part. We're giving you a map of the X Mansion. I mean, that's limitless possibilities just there.
I see a good question by Vihang Bajoria. Is it possible to play the hero mode on the New York map? And I think that goes into the whole how you can mix the boxes, because so we talk about the Marvel zombie mode box. It will have missions to play in hero mode with the hero mode box components. Yes.
I think the best way to say this is that the New York box with the Avengers and the X-Men box are cross-compatible. And if you have both, you're actually multiplying your game experience, not just adding up.
That is a good question, though, and that is something we should have said earlier as well when we were talking about the crossover features, is that yes, both boxes will contain a few scenarios to play with the alternate mode as well. Not the same raw number as like the one that's meant for that box, but you will have a number that for the other mode in that box as well. So I think we have time for, technically no more time, but let's take one final question here if we see a really good one that just jumps out.
I don't know.
Okay, I'll just pick one here since it's just the one I see on the screen here by Ares Oblivion. Oh man, I really wish that was a real name. Okay, hero mode. Who are the living heroes? Can we choose who is alive or not? Okay, so each of the heroes that you're getting in the boxes comes in their either zombie mode or zombie version, or a hero mode. There's a single model for each of those in the box, so that's what you're getting in there. So, like for example, Captain America in the Undead Avengers box, he is a zombie. If you're playing hero mode, he will come out as a spawned NPC zombie, but you can't play like the zombie version as a hero. You're not saving people as a zombie, and you're not eating people as a superhero. Wolverine, he's not going around just like eating Aunt May, even though he doesn't want to get in on that part.
Yeah, he's not that feral. Berserker Rage doesn't go quite that far. I think that's it, guys. I gotta crash. So I think the next one of these will be once the campaign is live. But there are still some things to come. We'll have previews. We have some stuff in the week or so to come between now and the launch of the campaign. So yeah, keep an eye out on our Facebook page. Mark the date on your calendar. Actually, you can go to the Kickstarter page and register on the pre-launch page. So you get a reminder, and so we can kind of freak out about the amount of people who have pre-registered on the pre-launch page. And I gotta get back to getting this thing ready because there's still a lot to do. There's a lot to do still.
My final two comments here is I saw that Aries just replied and saying that is his actual like first name, and your parents are great because of that. And then the final thing I have to say is, like, yes, as Aranya said, we'll be doing a lot more of these live streams, weekend reviews, and things like that leading up. And so I am personally celebrating each of these by giving myself a little trophy every single time we complete one of these. So here's the first one for this week, and I'm going to go ahead and just slot that right in here. Boom. There we go for this week.
Is that the power one? Yes, the power one, of course.
Oh, we're starting with the power one. Yes.
For the power system.
For the power system. Correct. And that's my last thing to say here. So Fabio, we'll send it over to you.
Oh, okay. On final notes, I'm really excited about the project. We also have a lot of stuff to do development-wise from now on, and it's going to be very interesting seeing the final jar of marbles and that we're shaking and stuff fitting in. I'm really eager. I'm really eager about the positive feedback that we've been reading, and there's just so much to show, and we're just at the tip of the iceberg, right? And I'll leave it at that. So thank you guys for coming.
Okay, see you soon. Mark the date and stay hungry.